Hi, my name is Julie Chu, and I'm a member of the U.S. Women's Ice Hockey Team, and you're watching Delmarva Life.
And they are certainly tearing it up over there in Sochi.
Oh my goodness, going to bring home that gold, can't wait.
Absolutely.
Well, from a national treasure to a Delmarva treasure. You know, life is a journey. It's a journey down a road that has many twists and turns.
And from time to time, we might run into a roadblock and take a detour. Well, it's hard to predict where each road will lead. Eric Sahler of Salisbury is an artist who knows all about those twists and turns. His journey is what makes him a Delmarva treasure.
Creating art is also a workout for artist Eric Sahler.
Yeah, it's not work. It's not like grinding out newspapers every day.
And that's exactly what Sahler did fresh out of college.
I went to work for the paper in 1989.
Although hired as a copy editor, it was Eric's art that got his foot in the door.
It was just an absolute miracle. And they brought me in and they said, you can do the illustration work. You know, you have to pick up some of this other stuff too.
In fact, he illustrated the front cover of the paper's Weekend Features magazine.
I kind of fancied myself as the Eastern Shore's Norman Rockwell.
Sahler also got the opportunity to produce editorial cartoons. This was his first.
It was when there was the fracas downtown with the mayor's daughter and one of the council people, and the police chief happened to be there.
Eventually, Eric's art took a back seat to administrative duties at the paper as managing editor.
There was no design, there was no graphics, there was no cartoons, there was no anything else. And for the last 7 years of my career, that's what I ended up doing, was being in an office, managing budgets and employee evaluations and those things.
It wasn't until 2009, when the economy was in a downslide, that Eric decided to create a Plan B.
There were furloughs, there were layoffs, and it made me think you need to have a Plan B.
That Plan B is this. It's called the My Hometown Series. When Eric was a teenager growing up on Delmarva, he took art lessons from Somerset County artist Keith Whitelock.
It was through Keith that number one, I was like, wow, this could be a career. You know, this is fun to do, and I could see myself doing this forever. Keith also taught me to love the Eastern Shore, because he would take me out, and we'd go down to Dew Island, back when there was a lot to see on Dew Island, lots of boats and shanties and the old sailmaker's loft and that sort of thing.
And it was the sort of thing Eric wanted to feature in his art.
I start with photos. I go out and shoot subject matter and bring it home, and generally nothing that I've printed has ended up looking exactly like what it looks like in real life. So if you look at the work behind me, the City Park Bridge, you can't find that angle to get the bridge to line up with the bandstand. There's a giant crepe myrtle bush that separates the two, so you can't see that. So everything I bring home, I start then working, massaging it to make an image that, in everyone's mind, this is what they think it is, but it's subtly different.
Once he comes up with the composition of the piece, he starts breaking it down.
The artwork itself takes up to a week, depending on how complicated it is. I'm working on an Oxford Fairy print right now that I have at least a week into just drawing those separations. I make a drawing for each color, and each color will print on the press one color at a time. So there's a drawing, and it stacks up. So I start with the color that's going to print first, I draw that. Then I draw the next color that's going to print on top of that, and on top of that, and on top of that. And in the end, there's usually 8 to 12 to up to 15 colors to make this print. Now some of them come quicker. My Blue Crabs print, it's 5 colors, it's a cartoon, and in a day's time, I can do the artwork for that. When I make the artwork, I go ahead and do the separations as I'm building it. So I figure out the puzzle of how it's going to print before I have to print it.
Eric then makes a screen from each drawing. Then it's time to go to press.
I print 2 colors a day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, until all the colors are printed.
Each print is hand pressed.
Each sheet of paper is cut by hand and then loaded in the press, printed by hand, onto the drying racks. It dries, and then the process starts again with the next color, pulled by hand.
Eric rolls out about 9 prints a year. He usually makes between 80 and 100 prints of each.
They're signed, they're numbered, and they sell till they sell out.
And so far, that hasn't been a problem. Eric sells through local vendors across the Eastern Shore and travels to various art shows.
It's a passion, and it's never felt like work to me. I mean, even out here running the press and the sweat's running down me, and it's still, this is what I want to do. I'm never ever going to complain about it being work. Anyone who can do what they want to do and be able to make a living out of it, I mean, what more could you ask for with your life?
And the work that Eric does is called serigraph. Eric says a serigraph is a fancy word for a silk screen art print. If you'd like to learn more about Sahler's work, go to our website, delmarvalife.com, and click on the show tab.
And he said that word. Passion.
Passion, yes.
Passion, you could tell it too. Well, speaking of works of art, a floral bouquet could certainly fit that description. As a matter of fact, you may be either sending or receiving one for Valentine's Day. What you should know before you have one delivered. Plus, some simple ways that you can keep your flowers lasting longer and looking fresh.
And we're trying to figure out where Brian is today. Brian, we're ready for our first clue.
Well, Jimmy and Lisa, here is your first clue. Clue number 1. This town was once planned as a prosperous city. One more clue to go, and then I'll reveal where I am a little later in the show.
But first, the Harlem Globetrotters are coming to town, and we want to give you tickets to the game. We're going to announce one winner each weekday through February 21st.
Each winner will receive a family 4-pack of tickets to the February 25th game at the Wicomico Youth and Civic Center. For your chance to win, go to delmarvalife.com and click on the show tab, then fill out the required fields under the contest link.
And congratulations to today's winner, Shirley Davis of Willings in Wicomico County. You're going to love the game. Delmarva Life. We'll be right back.